Well, we got this beautiful Black Angus chuck eye rolls, 2 of them, 24 kilo in total. There's a link down below how to break those up. And this is some of the cubes we made for minced meat. So what better way than to make some Mediterranean-inspired meatballs with that beautiful cut of beef.
Heavenly bite-sized meatballs.
Heavenly bite-sized, exactly. This is from the freezer, so they are frosty, not frozen, but frosty. And I also had this in the freezer overnight, so everything stays cold, so I don't get any smearing from the fat. So let's get mincing here, so we get some nice freshly minced beef. And there we are, a whole bunch of nice freshly minced beef, excellent for meatballs. So now I'm gonna put this back in the fridge to cool down because it warms up when you grind it while we prepare the rest of the ingredients. The first thing we have to create is our panade, which is basically just stale bread and milk. So I have here half a loaf of bread that was left over. I'm just gonna split it down the middle. It is stale, but that's what you want. And then we want to take a bowl and take out the crumbs here in the middle. We don't want the crust, we only want the crumb. If you had sandwich bread, then you could just slice it in cubes directly, but we are going with this old one because that's what we had. And basically panade, I think it means, as far as I know in French, just a bread mash, basically. But that's what's gonna maintain the juiciness of the meatball. So it's a very important thing to have if you want your meatballs to be good and juicy. And then we simply give it, I don't know how much milk.
A little bit till they soak. Yeah.
And then you'll get in here with your hands, break it up a little bit, and then you'll set it aside and let it soak there for some time, so you create like a paste at the end. So if it gets too thick, then you can add a little bit more milk. Check that when you get to that point. Next up, we have to grate some onions. I have a large and a medium-sized onion. You can do 3, whatever. That's up to you how much you want in. But this is about the analogy for 2 kilos of beef. And you don't want to chop these finely. You want to grate them so they disappear in the meatball. You don't want chunks of onion in there. So on with the grater. It's also much easier. Last bit of prep work on ingredients is fresh peppermint. That is what gives you that Greek meatball inspired flavor. So peppermint out. And now everything is ready. And here we have our beautiful meat from the fridge, perfectly ready. So we are gonna dump everything in here. Onion, panade, that, and then 2 eggs. That helps bind this together also. 25 grams of salt. We have 2 kilos of meat. Calculate 15 grams of salt per kilogram of meat, but I'm dialing it a little bit back from 30 grams to 25 because I don't want it over salty. We have kids coming later, so in with that. And then freshly cracked pepper. I think that will do it. And last but not least, our finely chopped peppermint. In it goes. All there is to do is get your hands in and mix it and get a very even, cohesive mixture out of this. I'll show you what we're looking for. You don't want to over mix it, but you don't either. You need it a little bit tacky so the meatballs, they stick together. So this is a bit of couple of minutes of mixing. And when you get to a consistency like this, tacky, little bit, but not too much. You're not going for sausage filling here. Then we're going to leave this in the fridge for half an hour to an hour for the flavors to get out and the meat to rest a little bit before we shape our meatballs. So here we are an hour after, and it looks really good. So now it's a question of shaping them up. And as you can see, I have my deep fat fryer on the table because we are not going to do this in the oven as you could, or shallow fry on a pan. No, we're going to go all the way in the deep fat fryer. This is going to be good. So a little bit of water. So you have wettish hands. You don't want them very wet, but you know, a little bit of water. And then we shape them, not too big. We want them to be a little bit more than bite size, something like that. You want them even smaller? I can do that.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, like that? Is that better? And then we put them here in the flour. Now we're going to do this in batches because anyway we cannot cook all of this in one go, then the oil will cool down. So we shape up a few here and leave them in the flour. And then once I have a batch, I'll see you when we fry them. So when we have a batch ready in the flour, we are going to cover all sides nicely. So we are ready to stuff them. You could flavor the flour if you wanted to with spices, but since we have the peppermint and the onion and salt and pepper and whatever in the meat, there's no necessity to add anything to the flour. You just want plain meatballs. That's what you want. Here they are, our first batch. And to make this a little bit easier, if you put them in the bottom of the basket and lower them, then there is a chance that they will stick to the bottom. So I tend to prefer to put them like this. Let's say half of our batch here. And then I can lower them in like this. And then shake them up a little bit so they don't stick to each other. And then we take the other half. We are going to have nice, beautiful meatballs. Now we let them go till they're golden brown. And there you see when this foam stops from the top and they float, then they're almost there. Is that the color we're looking for? I think it is.
Yeah, that's the one, dark brown.
Ooh, they smell good.
I know.
It's
You know, we have to do also the Scandinavian, Swedish, Danish
yeah.
at one point, of course.
And then we just take them out here, either on a rack or on some paper, whatever, to drip off and cool off so that we can present them nicely, make a thumbnail, and then we do the taste test. My turn to try out our meatballs here, and look at that, isn't that just a cute little puppy? It's very nice. But let me show you and let me taste. They are so juicy. It's so nice. The chuck is perfect beef for this. Salt level is perfect. The peppermint, super juicy, super tasty. This is a Greek meatball to die for, so give this a shot.